You're watching Story Scroll. Real stories, raw emotions, and endings you'll never forget. Let's scroll into today's tale.
My fiance slept with my brother before our wedding. I've been a long-time Reddit lurker. I've read countless stories on here and always thought, wow, that's awful, but at least that's not my life. I never imagined I'd be the one typing something like this out, but here I am, staring at my screen at 3 a.m., unable to sleep, hoping that writing this will help me make sense of everything. My wedding was supposed to be in 6 weeks. 6 weeks away for what I genuinely believed would be the happiest day of my life. Instead, I found out something that destroyed both my relationship and my family in one single blow. My fiance, now ex, I don't even know what to call her anymore, and I have been together for 7 years. We met in college through mutual friends, bonded over late-night study sessions, and slowly grew into what I thought was a rock-solid partnership. She was my best friend, the person I trusted more than anyone else in the world. We grew up together in so many ways. We supported each other through job losses, family issues, and the usual ups and downs of adulthood. I never once worried about her loyalty. Cheating just wasn't something I thought I'd ever have to consider with her. When I proposed last year, it felt perfect. Nothing extravagant, just us a quiet evening and a ring that I'd saved for months to buy. She cried, said yes immediately, and told me she couldn't wait to spend the rest of her life with me. I believed every word. Wedding planning was intense, but exciting. We booked a venue, paid deposits, involved both our families. My parents were thrilled. Her parents welcomed me like a son. My brother was around a lot too, helping out, offering opinions, joking about speeches. At the time, it felt normal. Now looking back, I feel sick. My brother is 2 years older than me. Growing up, he was always the golden child. Better grades, more confident, more outgoing. My parents never outright said it, but it was always implied that he could do no wrong. I learned early on to keep the peace. If there was conflict, I was expected to be the bigger person. If my brother crossed a line, I was told to let it go for the sake of the family. Despite that, I thought we were close as adults. We grabbed beers together, talked about work, joked around. I trusted him. I never in a million years thought he would betray me like this. There were tiny red flags over the years, flirtatious jokes, lingering looks, but I brushed them off. I told myself I was being paranoid. After all, why would my own brother ever do something like that? About 2 months ago, my fiancée started acting different. Nothing huge, just subtle changes. She was more protective of her phone. She seemed distracted when we talked. She got defensive over small things. At the same time, my brother was suddenly around all the time, dropping by unannounced, texting her directly instead of going through me, making jokes that felt a little too familiar. There was this weird tension between them. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. Long glances, awkward silences when I walked into a room. My gut told me something was wrong, but I ignored it. I didn't want to be the jealous fiancé accusing people without proof. I regret that more than anything. I found out by accident. One night, my fiancée fell asleep on the couch with her phone unlocked. I wasn't snooping. I went to plug it in, saw a notification pop up from my brother, and my stomach dropped. The message wasn't subtle. There was no room for misinterpretation. I opened the thread, my hands shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. What I saw confirmed my worst fear. Explicit messages, jokes about sneaking around, references to nights they'd spent together. I felt physically sick. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. I remember gripping the sink, staring at my reflection, thinking this couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of misunderstanding. It wasn't. The timestamps told me everything. This didn't happen years ago. It didn't happen after some fight. It happened before our wedding, while we were actively planning our future. I woke her up immediately. At first, she denied everything, said I was taking things out of context. Then she said it was just flirting. Then, finally, she admitted they'd slept together. Her excuses came fast. It was a mistake. I was drunk. I was stressed about the wedding. It didn't mean anything. She cried. She begged. She swore it only happened once. When I confronted my brother, his response was even worse. He didn't apologize right away. He tried to downplay it, told me I was overreacting, said, "You weren't even married yet." That sentence alone shattered whatever relationship we had left. I told my parents. I thought, foolishly, that they would support me. Instead, they told me not to ruin the family. They asked me to think about how this would look to relatives. They said forgiveness would be the mature thing to do. My mother actually said, "Boys will be boys," about my brother. No one yelled at him. No one held him accountable. The focus was entirely on getting me to calm down and move on. I've never felt so alone in my life. The wedding is officially on hold. Deposits are paid. Guests are invited. Everyone keeps asking questions I don't know how to answer. I don't know whether I should cancel everything and expose the truth or quietly walk away and let them control the narrative. I don't know if cutting off my brother and possibly my parents makes me a terrible person. So, I need outside perspective. Am I wrong for wanting to cut them both out of my life after this? Update. First, I want to thank everyone who commented and messaged me after my original post. I didn't expect it to get that much attention, and I definitely didn't expect the level of support I received. I read every comment, even the hard ones, and they helped ground me during what has easily been the worst week of my life. I want to clarify a few things before I get into the update. Some people asked if I had already officially canceled the wedding. At the time of the original post, I hadn't. I had put everything on hold because I was still in shock and being pressured from every direction to slow down and not make emotional decisions. Also, a few people asked if alcohol was involved. Yes, alcohol was present the first time they slept together, but that excuse completely falls apart once you know the full story. And unfortunately, there is more to the story. After posting here, I pushed for the full truth. I told my fiance that if there was anything else I didn't know, she needed to tell me now because I was done uncovering things piece by piece. That's when everything unraveled. It wasn't one time. It wasn't even close. The affair lasted almost 4 months. It started shortly after we sent out our wedding invitations. According to her, my brother was the one who initiated it. He started texting her more, checking in, complaining about his own dating life, and eventually crossing lines. She said she should have shut it down immediately. Instead, she didn't. They met up multiple times. At our house. At his place. Once even after a family dinner, while I was asleep in the next room. The lies were constant. Deleted messages. Fake errands. Excuses about staying late at work or going out with friends. Every time I thought she was choosing me, she was actively choosing to betray me. After posting here, I pushed for the full truth. I told my fiancé that if there was anything else I didn't know, she needed to tell me now because I was done uncovering things piece by piece. That's when everything unraveled. It wasn't one time. It wasn't even close. The affair lasted almost 4 months. It started shortly after we sent out our wedding invitations. According to her, my brother was the one who initiated it. He started texting her more, checking in, complaining about his own dating life, and eventually crossing lines. She said she should have shut it down immediately. Instead, she didn't. They met up multiple times. At our house. At his place. Once even after a family dinner, while I was asleep in the next room. The lies were constant. Deleted messages. Fake errands. Excuses about staying late at work or going out with friends. Every time I thought she was choosing me, she was actively choosing to betray me. Meanwhile, my fiancé completely spiraled. One minute she was sobbing, saying she'd ruined her life. The next, she was love-bombing me, constant texts, long letters, promises to change. She started rewriting history. Suddenly, I had been emotionally distant. I worked too much. I didn't prioritize her. None of this was ever mentioned before she got caught. She told me she still wanted to marry me, that we could work through this. She even suggested couples counseling, but only after I forgave her and agreed to stop bringing up the affair. She kept saying, "I chose you in the end," as if that was supposed to mean something. My parents doubled down. They told me I was dragging this out and making things worse by talking about it. My mother cried and asked me why I was so determined to destroy the family over one bad decision. Extended family members started calling. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Somehow, they all knew just enough to paint me as the problem, but not enough to understand what actually happened. I later found out my brother had told people a watered-down version of the story. that it was a drunken mistake, that I was looking for an excuse to call off the wedding. The narrative was being controlled, and I was being painted as unstable and dramatic. The turning point came when my best friend, who was also supposed to be my best man, found out the truth. He confronted my brother directly and then called me furious. Not long after that, our wedding coordinator reached out. She'd heard rumors and wanted to know if the wedding was still happening because vendors were asking questions. That was the moment it clicked for me. Everyone was more concerned about appearances than about what this had done to me. So I made the call. I officially canceled the wedding. I lost deposits, thousands of dollars. My parents were furious, not at my brother, but at me for not waiting or thinking it through. I asked my fiance to move out. She begged. She cried. She promised everything under the sun. But eventually, she left. My brother? He faced no real consequences. My parents took his side, let him stay over, and told me I needed to forgive him in time. I won't lie, I'm not okay. I am barely sleeping. When I do, I wake up angry or sick to my stomach. I didn't just lose the woman I thought I'd marry. I lost my brother, and I lost the version of my family I thought I had. Looking back, I'm realizing how unhealthy the dynamic always was. I was always expected to swallow pain to keep things peaceful. This was just the breaking point. For now, I've gone low contact with my parents and no contact with my brother and ex-fiancé. I'm focusing on getting through each day without letting them pull me back into their mess. There's still a lot happening behind the scenes, and I have a feeling this isn't over yet. If anything significant happens, I'll update again. Final update. It's been a little over 3 months since my last update. I honestly didn't think I'd be back here again. When I went low contact with my parents and cut off my brother and my ex completely, I thought that would be the end of it. I figured things would quietly fade out and I'd just move on with my life. That didn't happen. What had happened was something I never expected. The truth finally came out fully, publicly, and in a way no one could spin or minimize anymore. And with it came consequences. I want to start by saying this. I'm calmer now. Not healed, not over it, but steadier. The constant shaking anger is gone. I've had time to think clearly instead of reacting from pure hurt. I've been in therapy since shortly after my last update. It's helped me see things not just for what they were at the end, but what they had been for a long time. That clarity is what allowed me to handle what came next without completely losing myself. Because yes, things escalated again. The full story came out at a family gathering I didn't even attend. One of my cousins, someone I trusted and had quietly shared everything with, got tired of watching my brother play the victim and my parents defend him. Apparently, during a heated conversation, my brother repeated the same watered-down version of events he'd been using for months. This time, my cousin snapped. She laid out everything. The timeline, the months-long affair, the fact that it started after invitations went out, the lies, the manipulation, the way they used family as a shield. Someone recorded part of the confrontation. Not maliciously, just one of those moments where people had already been whispering and someone wanted proof. Within days, that version of the story spread. Not as gossip, but as correction. Suddenly, the narrative changed. People realized I hadn't overreacted. I hadn't been dramatic. I had been betrayed repeatedly by 2 people closest to me and then pressured to stay quiet about it. The lies unraveled fast once people started comparing notes. My brother's image took the biggest hit. His long-term girlfriend, who had believed his "it was one mistake" story, left him after seeing the full timeline. Mutual friends distanced themselves. A few outright cut him off. At work, things got awkward. While he didn't lose his job, his reputation took a hit when the situation spilled into his social circle, especially because a coworker had attended my would-be wedding and knew the truth. Even my parents couldn't fully shield him anymore. For the first time in our lives, they were forced to confront the favoritism. Not because I demanded it, but because other people saw it too and called it out. Loudly. They didn't suddenly become different people, but the denial cracked. And that mattered. About 2 weeks after everything blew up publicly, my ex reached out one last time. Not to apologize, to talk. She sent a long message about closure about how we'd grown together, about how she still thought about what our life could have been. There was guilt woven in, how hard this had been for her. Nostalgia, even a subtle warning that holding on to anger only hurts you. I didn't argue. I didn't lash out. I replied once. I told her I didn't hate her. I also told her I didn't trust her, didn't respect her, and didn't want her in my life in any capacity. I said the consequences she was facing were not cruelty. They were the natural result of her choices. Then I blocked her everywhere. It felt final in a way nothing else had before. Therapy has helped me understand something important. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about patterns. I was the peacemaker, the one who swallowed hurt to keep everyone comfortable, the one who was expected to forgive without accountability. I don't do that anymore. I've leaned heavily on friends who stood by me from the start, especially the ones who never once told me to just move on. I've rebuilt routines. I've started enjoying quiet again. Most importantly, I've learned that boundaries aren't punishments. They're protections. After the truth came out, some family members reached out to apologize. They admitted they believed what they were told without asking questions. I accepted those apologies. Others doubled down. They insisted airing things publicly was worse than the betrayal itself. Those people are no longer in my life, and I'm okay with that. I've learned that peace doesn't mean access. Being related to someone doesn't entitle them to a place in my life, especially if that place requires my silence. My brother is isolated, defensive, and still convinced he's the real victim. My ex moved back in with her parents and lost most of our shared friend group. My parents are quieter now, less demanding. We speak occasionally, cautiously. Me? I am rebuilding. Slowly but honestly, there's no revenge arc here. No dramatic win. Just consequences.
Thanks for watching Story Scroll. Hit that bell and stay tuned for the next story that will move your heart.